Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop.
So this one goes into the bin to get sharpened. Take all the screws off, wire brush that down a little bit. And sand off the places where the blade mounts down. Now I have the three faces done. This one doesn't matter much if it's square. I don't use it. Maybe somebody does. But typically, for me anyways, this side has just been machined off to make it look nice for the casting and get rid of the rough edge. I take this little wire brush over the nooks and crannies. Could do this with a Dremel tool, but this little wire brush seems to do a pretty good job of it. It's a little Harbor Freight piece of crap, but it does do the job I need to have done. After going over that little flat spot right there with the sandpaper, I've got that spot flattened out, most of the rust taken off of it. The rest of this just needs to be wiped down with some mineral spirits. So making the handle like that lowers the cost of the plane slightly, which is important if you're in the marketplace. You're trying to make the best for least. But I think this is actually an improvement that I'm going to leave right there. Somebody like me a long time ago decided that they were tired of having their fingers running that groove. Now it's a bath in mineral spirits and into the paint booth. Now, other than purposes of removing the rust, this doesn't have to be flat all the way back, because when this is in the plane, it actually only rides on the very tip. The very tip goes against the plane blade and presses down on it. It's not a chip breaker as much as it is a clamp to hold the blade in place, but I still want to have this leading edge go down as flat to the blade as I can possibly get it. So I'm going to take that edge just down. The rest of this was just to get rid of the rust. There. Now that's ready for the mineral spirits bath. This guy, this is going to be a lot of hand wire brush. Now I can take it on the wire wheel, but something with as many little convoluted spots as this thing's got, the wire wheel doesn't reach down in very well. I could take a Dremel tool, but I think this hand wire brush is probably going to get 90% of it. And the hand wire brush doesn't grab it out of my hand like the wire wheel does. Now having it pulled out of my fingers is annoying, Could be dangerous if it gets wrapped around the wheel and thrown out, but it's more of a thing of it's going to wreck this part. If I let this fly out of the wire wheel and it crashes to the floor, it's going to be toast. And these are kind of hard to get. I think most people just use a rebate plane or rabbit plane as a way to clean up a shoulder. So they've already got the shoulder established and they just use this to run across it and square it up. Doesn't need to have this fence on it. So they take the fence off, and it gets put in the drawer because it doesn't get used much. And then when the estate sale people come along, they take all the stuff in the drawer and drop it in a box and put one money on it, usually anywhere from $1 to 10. And since they don't know what the heck it is, it's just a piece of scrap iron to them. So if I could make a suggestion to all the people out there in the world that have a rebate plane, whether it's a Stanley, a Sargent, Miller Falls, whoever, when you store it, store all the pieces in one spot. That way when your nieces and nephews go through the file, or grandson, granddaughter, they'll know that it's all one thing. And since our goal in life is to make it better for our children, that's one way we can do it. And to give you an idea of the relative value of these things, this plane with all the fences and knickers and clamps and everything on it sells anywhere from 70 to 80 bucks. A little better condition, it might go even higher to a collector. This is a newer one than this one. But with an antique, new isn't necessarily good. This one like this, cleaned up. Probably gonna go 10 bucks if you're lucky, if you sell it. With all the little pieces on it, the knicker, the clamp, the blade, the fence mounting rod, it's gonna run 30, 35 bucks. So it's worthwhile to just take a moment and put them all in one spot. You have a whole plane to sell instead of just pieces of one. Worthwhile to have all the stuff in one spot. And having it assembled like this, I know it takes a minute to take the fence off because you're not using it. Spend the minute. Mineral spirits bath to take off the dust and the debris on the thing. Then it goes into the paint booth.
If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.